what you are going through is as a result of the width of your destiny.
What Communication Media, Jesus Reigns Ministries Incorporated, presents Inspirational Leadership Hour with the servants of God, Reverend John A. Adepoju, for divine impartation, and the Word of God will do you good.
And lead me home.
I welcome you again into Inspirational Leadership Hour. By the grace of God, we have commenced a series titled Autopsies, a guidepost for effective leadership. Autopsies, a guidepost for effective leadership. And today we will be looking at a case study of Saul. We'll be looking at a case study of Saul. And then before we go, I want to emphasize again from this very beginning that these teachings that we have been considering, they are not meant to look down on the men of old or the heroes of old. We are not presenting ourselves as being superhuman beings. We are looking at how they were able to get into what God has ordained for them to do in terms of leadership. We are looking at their lifestyles. How did they do their works? How did they comport themselves in the matter of leadership, and where did they fall, so that we can gain understanding and wisdom in our own race, so as to be able to lead effectively. That is the essence of this message. Let's have a word of prayer together as we continue. Lord, we are grateful again today for the opportunity that you have given to us to come together to be instructed and be imparted through the revelation of your word. And so, dear Lord, as we make ourselves simple before you, we pray that your Spirit will enlighten us. You will grant us the revelation and the inspiration of the power of your word. We help us to know better, to do better, to serve you better, so that through our service and commitment unto you as our Creator, others will be influenced positively. They will come to your saving knowledge. They will be able to discover the essence and the purpose of their creation, thereby using their own gifts to serve others and to enlarge your kingdom here on earth. This is our cry, O Lord. Grant us our request according to your will, as in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Open with me into the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and I'll be reading verse 7 to 9. Proverbs chapter 4, 7 to 9. Again, 1 Samuel chapter 9, 1 to 10. But we'll not be going into 1 Samuel chapter 9, 1 to 10 into detail. We'll be making reference to it as we continue in the course of this teaching. So, open with me into the book of Proverbs 4, 7 to 9. The Bible reads, and I'm reading from New King James version of the Bible. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and in all your getting, get understanding. Exhort her, and she will promote you. She will bring you honor when you embrace her. She will place on your head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory. She will deliver unto you. Amen. By way of introduction, I want to begin by saying that Saul was a Benjamite. He was a son of Kish, and he was the first king to rule Israel. I want to continue by saying that his reign was orchestrated by God. in spite of Israel's unruly request for a king. Many people believe that Israel requested for a king appropriately, right? And they thought that Saul was mistakenly given to these people, or was mistakenly given to the people rather, by God, or he was given as a punishment to the people because they requested for what God was not ready to give them. But from this very beginning, I want to correct that impression. And I want to say again, for the sake of emphasis, that the reign of Saul was orchestrated by God in spite of Israel's unruly request for a king. The loss of his father's donkey, according to that 1 Samuel chapter 9 that I've said we make reference to, is figurative of Israel's wandering away from God. That his father's donkeys were missing and he was asked to look for them was figurative of Israel's wandering away from God. Then his commission to look for the donkeys is proportional to his emergence as the king over Israel. If you're a Bible student, you will agree with me that at a point in time, as Saul and his servants were out in search for the donkeys of his father, it was told to him and the servants that the donkeys had been found, that they should not bother about it. So it's a kind of dramatic display, a cast of a play that God wanted us to see in terms of parable, for us to know that the reign of Saul was orchestrated by him, and that the donkeys that were missing symbolizes Israel. And Saul was channeled to look for them, as he will come to look for the Israel of God to deliver them from the ends of the Philistine. It is a drama. So if anyone is telling you that Saul was given to Israel as a punishment to the people for asking God to give them a king, I want you to begin to correct that impression now. That is not true. His reign was orchestrated by God in spite of the Israel's unruly request for a king. The loss of his father's donkeys is figurative of Israel's running away from God, and also his commission, that is Saul's commission to restore the donkeys, is proportional to his emergence as the king over Israel. So his choice was pleasing to God, that his approval was confided in Samuel even before he was ordained. Look with me into the book of 1 Samuel. I've said we'll be making reference to it. 1 Samuel chapter 9, and I'm reading from verse 15 and verse 16 from the Message Bible. 1 Samuel 9, 15 and 16 from the Message Bible. The Bible says, the very day before, God had confided in Samuel, saying, this time tomorrow, I am sending a man from the land of Benjamin to meet you. You are to anoint him a prince over my people Israel. Do you see that? You are to anoint him a prince over my people Israel. He will free my people from the Philistines' oppression. Yes, I know all about their hard circumstance. I have heard their cry. And that is 1 Samuel chapter 9, 15 and 16, the Message Bible. If you have followed me as I've read, that rendition says, the very day before, God had confided in Samuel. Interesting. So it was God himself who saw Saul ahead of coming to the throne. And it was the same God who confided about him in Samuel. And if we are talking about confiding in someone, you are talking of friendship relationship. You are talking of keeping a secret that you know is very, very crucial to you. So for God to have confided in Samuel about Saul, it connotes that God has seen Saul qualified. He has seen him as someone who could do the assignment, who could rescue the people from the ends of the Philistine. So, if we are looking at Saul from the angle of the field of leadership, Saul was a war leader. Such leaders are referred to as revolutionary leaders in the field of leadership. They are called a change leading leaders. A change leading leaders. Such are needed today. And I believe you will understand with me and agree with me. We are in an era that people are doing all sorts of evil things. The so-called leaders, they are doing all sorts of evil things. They are not leading as expected of them. They are not leading with the comfort of the people in mind. And you will discover that in so many nations of the world, especially the developing nations, the seat of leadership is just revolving around the same set of people who have been leading from the inception of so many of these countries. In fact, when they are leaving the offices, they are still replacing themselves either with their children, their colleagues, or people that are very close to them. So there is need for revolution. And the point I'm trying to make is that Saul was a revolutionary leader. He was a change-leading leader, sort of who we need in our era today. That Saul came to power by divine approval is indisputable. I've said that earlier on. So it was God himself that orchestrated his coming. However, his ascension to the throne could not have been possible without his aid. That is, without the servants that God has ordained for him to walk him through into the course of his destiny. His resolution to return home after the third day of the sight of the donkeys of his father shows that Saul naturally was hasty. He was an hasty man. If you read with me into the book of 1 Samuel chapter 9 and verse 5, the Bible says that after they have searched for the donkeys for 3 days, Saul told his servant that they should go back home. Listen to what the Bible reads. When they had come to the land of Saul, Saul said to his servant who was with him, "Come, let us return, lest my father cease caring about the donkeys and become worried about us." That is to show you that naturally Saul was an hasty person. Saul was an hasty person. He was ready to go back home because he could not see the donkeys of his father. And I'm trying to make this point known from the very beginning, that Saul wouldn't have been able to attain prominence. He wouldn't have been able to become the king over Israel. He wouldn't have been able to actualize his destiny in terms of rulership or leadership, as it were, except for the aid that went with him in search of the donkeys that day. So after Saul had asked the man that they should go back home, listen to the reply. I'm reading from that same 1 Samuel chapter 9 and verse 6. And I want to read from the Message Bible. The servant replied, "Not so fast." That is urgency. That is promptness. That is readiness. That is ruggedness. Begin to study that servant as we proceed. He replied, "Not so fast. There is a holy man in this town. He carries a lot of weight around here. What he says is always right on the mark. Maybe he can tell us where to go." Interesting. That moment, Saul would have gone back home without discovering the donkeys. And you remember I told you at the beginning, the donkeys were not eventually found because he was told that they should not bother about them any longer. They have been found. Which is an irony of what is going to happen to the Israelites. He's going to find them and be their king. But except for this man, Saul will have missed the destiny. So, it was this age who helped him in discovering and actualizing his destiny. Also, I want you to know that a throne is not higher than its governing altar. A throne is not higher than its governing altar. In other words, the governing altar that God has constituted for Saul to become what he has ordained for him to be and to support him was this man. Because except for him, he would have gone back home without discovering Samuel, the man of God. And his inability to discover Samuel, the man of God, implies that he will not be anointed. He will miss the very purpose for which he was made. So a throne is not higher than its governing altar, except for lack of emotional intelligence, which is the cause of his fall. And we are looking at it now. The servant on whose account Saul found the prophets is strong enough to be his backing. are coming back to that. So what I'm trying to say is that Saul ought to have treasured this man as a precious gift from God to him. And you will see as we continue. So it was on the account of this man that he discovered the anointed man of God who was to coronate him and to launch him into the destiny as the king, the first king for that matter, over Israel. So, he who is the destiny discovery can as well help in actualizing that destiny. But as we continue to study, we will see what caused the failure. What was the cause of the failure in the leadership adventure on the part of Saul. Let's look together into 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 11 to 16. After Saul had discovered Samuel and he had been ordained, he had been told that he should go back home and is coming to consecrate him in the presence of everyone. So Saul was on his way together with his servants that faithful day. But as he was going, something happened, part of which should help Saul to prioritize what God has given him as a gift, to know whom God has sent across his way as his head or as a destined helper. So 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 11 to 16, the Bible says, then Saul's uncle said to him as he was coming home now, and his servant, where did you go? So he said, to look for the donkeys. When we saw that they were nowhere to be found, we went to Samuel. And Saul's uncle said, tell me please what Samuel said to you. So Saul said to his uncle, he told us plainly that the donkeys had been found, but about the matter of the kingdom, he did not tell him what Samuel had said. So what point are we making at this point? When Saul was coming back home together with his servants, it is recorded according to 1 Samuel chapter 10, 11 to 16, that an uncle came out to meet him. And I want you to begin to pay attention to this man. So when he came to meet him, it was not to welcome him back home, though that's what we are saying. His intention was to know what has become of Saul in the search for the donkeys of his father. And the Bible says he was talking to Saul rather, and his servants. I want you to pay attention to the servants again. Literally, because the two of them were being spoken to. This man could respond even before Saul began to talk. He could go ahead to tell the uncle of Saul what had been said of Saul from Samuel. But this man knew his position. He knew himself too well. He knew his calling. He knew that he was an helper. He knew he was a slave, a servant. So he gave due honor to the heir who he saw. He did not talk. So as the uncle of Saul was interrogating Saul that fateful day, this man did not talk. Literally speaking, he has the right, because the man was talking to the two of them. But he knew himself too well. So I'm beginning to see, as I'm studying Saul, that Saul ought to have prioritized this man. He ought to have valued him and see him as an asset. But as we study on, you will see what happened. So he did not talk. Again, back to the uncle of Saul. How will an uncle, someone regarded as an uncle, an elder for that matter, be concerning himself with what has been said of his person, a younger one to him? So I see this man as a busybody, someone who puts his mouth into every matter, someone who is concerning himself with what does not concern him in the reasons of it, someone who is looking for an opportunity into the affairs of others with a view to know probably how to do them evil. But this particular servant did not talk. So note that Saul's uncle's address was directed to the two of them, but this man knew himself for his understanding and his calling. He did not talk. He did not give any input. Do you know that it is very possible that the uncle of Saul might go back after that discussion to go and try to interrogate this man again to know whether what Saul has said is true or not? The Bible did not give us any record. But the point I'm trying to make is to center on this man as someone who is an asset unto Saul. So we are looking at his autopsy and how he was able to live. So Saul was unconscious of how emotionally unintelligent he was, and that is the issue. Saul did greatly. He was ordained by God. He was brought into prominence. He was brought into that destiny by God. But the altar that God has prepared for him to be his launch into his destiny, into the work, and to be faithful, to be able to do it to the very end, he desecrated that altar. He disowned the altar. So the issue with Saul is lack of emotional intelligence. Lack of emotional intelligence. And what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is an ability of a leader to be able to look into the history, the experience of the past, and the experience of the present, with a view to judging from both to determine what to do at that particular point in time. Emotional intelligence is the ability of a leader to be able to draw from the past experience, looking into the present issue, and be able to judge, decide the judgment, right judgment of knowing what to do at that particular point in time. So a servant who went with him into the bush 3 days, a servant who was able to sacrifice everything. If you study 1 Samuel chapter 9 very well, you will discover that at a point in time when they got to Samuel, according to the law or according to the custom of the Israelites, they have to give an offering to the prophet before they could see him. Saul had nothing, but this man was very, very experienced. He knew what they should do, so he gave everything that he had. He knew his calling, he knew who he was, he knew his boundary, he knew he was a slave, and to him he knows that whatever the slave owns, the master owns. So he gave up his money, he gave up his time, he gave up his experience, he gave us his rest, he gave up his comfort, so that Saul would come to prominence. But when Saul came to prominence, we are beginning to see that he lacked emotional intelligence. In theology, we call that insensitivity. He was not sensitive enough that God has provided a platform for him. God has provided an altar for him to reign as a king. So he was just there, but he desecrated the altar. And as we are continuing, you will see. So Saul lacked emotional intelligence. It was not for fun that the servant was chosen to accompany him in the first instance to look for the donkeys of his father. 1 Samuel chapter 9 that were consuming. Most leaders today fall into the same error. They are not mindful of how important their team members are. They are not mindful. God doesn't assign followers to leaders for fun. So, and at this point, I want to begin to challenge leaders. Please be mindful of people that are around you. Be mindful of your team members. They are not just there for fun. They are not there that their salaries might be paid alone. No. They are there as destiny helpers. They are there to accomplish the task with you. May I tell you, leaders take credit when things are done well, when achievements are recorded, when successes are recorded. But leaders is not the issue. They are not the issue. They are not the point of focus. If you are able to study well and look well, there are people who work for them. Theirs is just to put the icing on the ice cream, on the cream rather, so that the issue of what they need to do will be perfected. But on the parts of Saul, as we continue to see, he did not mind this man. So I'm challenging you, be mindful of your team members. They are assigned for a purpose. So a leader who is not aware of the essence of his or her team members will fail in self-management. A leader who is not aware of the essence of his or her team members will fail in self-management. Do you know that the commander-in-chief of the armed forces that was appointed by Saul, when he eventually became the king over Israel, was someone that was not qualified to be in that position? As we continue to study, you will see. I am saying that for everything that Saul ought to have done, this man will have been involved. It does not mean that he should be there or he should be given a portfolio, but he must be involved. Being involved does not mean that you are at the forefront. No. It does not mean that you are collecting salary. No. But the wisdom that God has deposited in this man, Saul tapped into it in the beginning, and when he has attained the throne, he thought all is done. He dumped this man. So I'm challenging you leaders, beware of the game of use and dump. Majority of us leaders, we are fond of this habit. We use people, and when we have achieved our aim, we dump them. May I tell you, it's not everyone that comes across your way you can use and dump. Dumping someone who is your life wire is truncating your destiny unknowingly to you. So, when Saul will appoint the commander-in-chief of armed forces for Israel as the first king to launch out into the destiny of rescuing the people from the Philistines, which is the core assignment, Saul failed. Let's check out together from 1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 50b. 1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 50b. The Bible says, and the name of the commander of his army was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. Do you see that? Let me read to your hearing again. And the name of the commander of his army was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. You remember Saul's uncle in 1 Samuel chapter 10 that we have read a while ago. 1 Samuel chapter 10 from 11 to 16. It was the same uncle who came to greet him as was coming from Samuel. Coming home from Samuel. It was the same uncle who wanted to know what Samuel had said of Saul. It was the same uncle that Saul concealed the matter of Samuel from. Now, how come that when he became coronated, it was the same son of this uncle that was appointed as the commander-in-chief of armed forces? That is the failure. It's a failure. This man that we're talking about, Abner now, he was a young man. By every standard, he was younger to Saul, though age has nothing to do. But the issue is that he has no strength to weather the storms, to do the assignment. He has no experience. He has not been tested and proved or approved. He has not been said, it has not been said of him that he has accomplished a task similar to that in the time past. He has never served. To be simply put, what are we seeing? This man, Ner, in the first instance, the uncle, could not conquer Saul. But when Saul had become the king, he manipulated, he maneuvered his way, he came in, he lobbied his way in. But Saul was not conscious. So he gave in. That is the issue. So I want to challenge you leaders, beware of Ner. Beware of Ner. If they cannot bite, they can bait. Beware of Ners. If they cannot bite, they can bait. In the first instance, the intention of Ner was to bite. It was to get and download everything that Saul has said concerning, Samuel has said concerning Saul. But Saul was very wise at this point. But when he settled down as a king, he became unwise. And we need to be conscious of this. When we start as leaders, we start on the prominence of grace. We start out with every enthusiasm. The strength is there. The brain is there. The skill is there. The trait is there. Everything that we need academically is there. Certificate is there. Exposure is there. But as the work begins to unfold, as we are beginning to be made known by the grace of God, we are beginning to be told that what matters to us in the very beginning become no more matter. So that is where we need to be conscious and to be serious with the issue of leadership. It's not something that we glory in, as it were. It's not something that we see as a means of joy or happiness. It's not something that we fret about because our names are being heard all over. It's not because people are clamoring for our names. They want us everywhere. They want to identify with us. Because of that, we allow it to enter into. If the care is not taken, we will make costly mistakes. That's what Saul did. And it calls for emotional intelligence. When you are happy, you are able to manage yourself. When you are sad, you are able to manage yourself. When things are going the way they should go, you know how to manage. When things are not going the way they should go, you draw from the past experience. You look at what is happening present, and you are able to assure yourself that God, who had helped you in the time past, is able to help you now, even to go through what you need to go through successfully. If he has done it in the past, he can do it now. That is emotional intelligence. From the part of Saul, when he was settling down and he was constituting the cabinets, the one that we appoint as the commander-in-chief of army was Abner, the son of Ner, his uncle. Again, I need to sound a note of warning. It's not in every cabinet that you will have members of your family. But what are we saying today? Once we are leaders, we want to bring all our family members into it. Selfishness, empire building. We thought others don't matter. We thought they don't know how to do it, or rather, we want to build that empire so that when we are no longer there, we will still have a trace into that throne. That is what Saul is doing. Where is the man who served him in the first instance? This man ought to have been the consultant, even to Saul. He ought to have been a special advisor on issues, critical issues to Saul. But when they went back home that day, he dumped him back into the slavery den. And when the time came for him to appoint the commander-in-chief of army, he appointed Ner, the son of Abner. He appointed Abner, rather, the son of Ner. So I'm trying to let you know that you need to beware of Ners. If they cannot bite, they can beat. So, a leader who is not aware of the essence of his or her team members will misbehave. He will do something funny. A little thing will capsize his boat. No wonder that there is an imbalance in the leadership of Saul, because he appointed wrongly. Imbalance. Sometimes he will go to war and win. Sometimes he will come back and be defeated, because the person that was leading the war on his behalf was not qualified. So I'm asking you as a leader, are you appointing qualified people, qualified members into your team? Are you sensitive to the throne that is governing, the altar that is governing your throne? Are you not just glorying in the throne? The throne is not the issue. It's not as important as the altar. Please go and find out. Any throne that has no altar is just a question of time. It might be there for 40 years, it might be there for 50, it might be there for 60, but the issue is that that throne has collapsed. The empire will not stand. The glory has departed. It will eventually fade. It's just a question of time. So altar is more important than the throne. But when some will begin to constitute the team members, what do we see? We see him appointing Abner, the son of Ner. Beware of the busybody people. The Bible will say, and that he so very, looking at the life of this man, Ner, is something else. It means that an elder does not question things. The glory of an elder is the fact that he will be called to come and see issues. But on the part of Ner, he was the one seeking an avenue to know what has been said of Saul from Samuel. But when he could not decode that, he set the bait for Saul and he caught him. He set the bait in terms of bringing his son Abner into the throne with Saul. So there is an imbalance because the person that was appointed was not qualified. How emotionally intelligent are you as a leader? Are you seeing the altar behind your throne? Are you drawing from what has caused you to be successful in the time past when you are being faced with challenge currently? The fact that you are able to succeed then is an indication that God, who has made it happen then, can still make it happen now. But what do we see in terms of Saul? He failed. Leaders, beware of Ners. If they cannot beat, I've said that earlier on, they can bite. Abner has not been tested and trusted in matters of leadership or war. Besides, he was sponsored by the father for a cause. The man was looking for what he would gain from the leadership and the throne of Saul, and he succeeded. by bringing the son into it. So, where was Abner when Saul was sent by God to destroy the whole of Amalekites in 1 Samuel chapter 15? Where was he? And if you're a Bible student, you will remember that instead of acting according to the dictate that God has given to him, Saul failed. He failed. He kept alive the best of the land when God said, destroy everything. He even brought the king alive. So where was Abner as the commander that he could not act and do what has been given as instruction? That's what we're talking about. So if it were to be the aide or the servant that went with him the other time, he gave the right counsel. He was with him when it was good and when it was bad. He was with him when he was discouraged. He was able to stand his ground. When Saul said, let's go back, he said, not so fast. What a rugged fellow. That was the backing that God has appointed unto him, but he discarded him when he needed him so much. So where was Abner when God gave the instruction? Where was Abner, the commander-in-chief of army, when the giant Goliath was harassing Israel, according to what we see in 1 Samuel chapter 17, for 40 days? Where was Abner? That is to tell you that in terms of capacity, Abner could not do the work. He was unqualified. He had not been tested and trusted. It was not God who orchestrated the backing of Abner for Saul. It was a man-made. It was his choice. We need to be careful of this as leaders. Again, in contrast, when you look at the man that went with him in search of the donkeys, he was with him 3 days. In the rain, in the sun, everywhere, he was with him. He weathered the storm together with Saul. Even when Saul was discouraged, he was standing his ground. This assignment must be done. He stood by him until Samuel was discovered. So where was he when Saul needed somebody to stand with him, to encourage him, to tarry, to wait, even for Samuel to come and make the sacrifice at Gilgal? Where was he? The most humbling part is that Saul did not remember to trace his missing step for 40 good years. 40 good years. He was only relevant for 2 years in his entire 42 years of reign as the first king in Israel, and 72 years of his living as a man. Check it out in Acts of the Apostles chapter 13, 20 to 21. It was recorded that Saul reigned as the king over Israel for 42 years. And it was in the second year of his reign that all these issues that we started to trace began to happen. Again, look at 1 Samuel chapter 31, 1 to 13. And 1 Chronicles chapter 10. You will see how Saul fumbled and how he missed the mark and how he died. So I want to tell you that we need to realize and know that the kind of company that we keep, people that come to constitute our team members, they matter to us as leaders. And we need to be emotionally mindful of people that we incorporate to work with us. Do you know that Potiphar, he missed the mark and he did the same thing? For his cause, for the cause of Joseph rather, God has blessed everything that he has, both at home and in the farm. In fact, it was recorded that it was for his sake that God blessed in everything that he has. Genesis 39 to 41. But on the day that the wife of Potiphar lied against Joseph, instead of Potiphar to be emotionally intelligent, to look into the past history, has this man done something like this before? Has he been alleged of rape before? Has he been alleged of any assault before? He couldn't do that. So all what he did was to jump into conclusion. He was not intelligent at all. The same way that Saul was not intelligent in discarding the head that God has given to him. So he sent Joseph into the prison. May I tell you, for the 2 years that Joseph spent in the prison, this man was finished, though he was still reigning with Pharaoh. That is the issue. One could be reigning and relevant, as it were, in the program of man, but in the program of God, it has been nullified. So as leaders, we need to be conscious and mindful of these things. So the very day that Joseph was released from the prison, that was the end of the history of Potiphar as a very important officer in the kingdom of Pharaoh. From that day on, nothing important is said of Potiphar any longer. Lack of emotional intelligence. So I'm challenging you, be mindful of people that God has brought across your way, even to lead with you in your leadership adventure. Everything about Potiphar ended the same day that Joseph became the prime minister in the land of Egypt. So the game of use and dumb is what can ruin your destiny as a leader. The game of use and dumb is something that will ruin your destiny as a leader. There is a captain in your army, a game changer in your team. Nurture him. There is a captain in your boat whose silence can capsize the entire boat. Please figure him out. Give him audience. Let him express himself. He was there for you, for your cause. Do you know that at the end of the day, it is you who will take the credit? Regardless of what he has done, regardless of the work and the effort of the team members, when the record will be read, when the report will be made known to the general public, it is the name of the leader that is appended as a signature. So what is the matter? On the part of Saul, he failed. He failed. So again, there is a child in your loin. Father him, groom him. He is your life wire. Don't let him go. Elias, I want to challenge you, the elder brothers. There is the least among your siblings. He is the star of Jesse. Shouting him down is shutting down the entire clan. Can you give him a voice? So I'm saying that Saul wouldn't have failed, as it were. In fact, what we see is disobedience that climaxed everything about Saul. But disobedience is not there. There is something at the base. There is a causative agent of what happened to Saul in the long run. That is emotional intelligence. He lacked emotional intelligence. He lacked it. He lacked it. So someone who God has given to you, how are you treating him or her? How are you treating him? So I'm challenging us as leaders. We need to be mindful of people that come to work with us. We need to be mindful of the altars that God has brought across our way to help us to make our throne relevant. Again, as I'm concluding because of time, if you read the Acts that I've mentioned earlier on, chapter 13, 20, 21, as well as 1 Samuel 31, 1 to 13, and Chronicle chapter 10, you will see how Saul died. He died in the presence of the enemy, in the company of his three sons. That is very terrible. Do you imagine how sorrowful it will be for a leader to lose three sons in a day, and he himself died in their company? How tragic it will be for the entire clan and the nation, or even the town or the city. Very pathetic. When Saul will die, he asked one of his armor bearer to trust him because he did not want to be killed by these uncircumcised Philistines. Do you see that? He did not supposed to die with them. But he was only relevant for 2 years. If you read that same 1 Samuel chapter 31, 1 to 13, and 1 Chronicle 10, he was relevant for 2 years, but he could not trace his missing step. I'm challenging you under God as leaders. Please be mindful of the altar behind your throne. As we conclude, dear leader, the legacy, the impact, the testimony, and or the influence of your leadership depends on the man. The impact, the testimony, and the influence of your leadership depends on the man. You are successful this far because he has been behind the scene working for you. Again, the truth be told, leaders often forget the basic. We think because we are being made more, we think because we are making way, we forget what lies beneath us. We forget the base upon which we are seated. The basic is the way, is that which constitutes what God wants to do to us. So, as leaders, we need to be mindful of where we are seated. What God has constituted as a seed for us to be made known and to do our work successfully. You are not achieving all you claim to be achieving or the success you are achieving because of your own strength. It lies on the strength of a man. It lies on the strength of someone that God has given to be your pillar of support. So I'm happy to let you know that Jesus is the man. Jesus is the base. Jesus is the one helping you to have recorded all the successes as a leader. In this time as Christian leaders. So do you realize him? Do you know him enough to have relied on him just the same way that man was brought across the way of Saul to help him? In most cases, majority of us, even Christians, we use Jesus. We are seeing that every day. We use him to achieve our aim, and when we have achieved that, we don't pay. May I tell you, we are just deceiving ourselves. The success will not last. The empire cannot stand. And whatever success we are recording, that's the name of Jesus is missing, is just for a while. It will collapse. It will fade away. The kingdom will not stand. So I'm letting you know there is a man who is the altar behind your throne. Can you recognize him? The man who encouraged Saul to actualize his destiny was the man sent to him. But when Saul became the king and he was coronated, he discarded him. How often have you been discarding Christ as a leader? Because people are clamoring for your name, praising your name, you thought it's in your strength that you are even living, not to talk of the work you are doing. Please, I'm challenging us. As leaders, we need to be conscious of who we are. We need to prioritize emotional intelligence. When we are happy, do it at the minimum. When we are sad, draw the strength from what God has given to you. So, Saul walked in. The man walked Saul through odds of life in order to become the king and anointed. But when he needed him most, he abandoned him. I'm challenging you under God today as a leader. Look at the life of Saul. He was brought into prominence by God. His reign was orchestrated by God himself. But when he became what God has ordained for him, he thought he could continue in his strength. He failed. He failed. So I'm charging you, as I'm bringing this message to a close, that we need to recognize the altar behind the throne and beware of nails. If they cannot bite, they can bait. Let's pray. Father, we are grateful for your word that has come to us. We thank you because the entrance of your word gives life and understanding to the simple. Lord, as we have heard, I commit your people to you, that the grace, oh God, to value you at all time and to value the relationship that you have established for them through others, grant unto them in the name of Jesus Christ. Lord, I pray that may we never reach a place on that point in our leadership adventure where we begin to see ourselves and counting our sources at the expense of your backing in the name of Jesus Christ. Lord, are there people who have heard this message, but today they have discovered that the people that they are meant to be their pillar, that have ordained for them, they have abandoned and discarded them. I pray, grant them the courage needed to make a correction. Let them come back, oh God, to the realization of the fact that, Lord, they must not fail you. That they can do it with your backing and with the backing of those you have meant to assist them. Lord, I pray that all of us at the end, may our work count in your kingdom expansion. As in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Precious Lord.
For more of God's word, prayer, and counsel, contact us through the following numbers: +1502 3095 130, +150 251 77765. Or better still, +234 80 322 45642. Alafia Baptist Church, 3623 Eastern Avenue, MT Rainer Avenue, Maryland, USA. Email royalrainers@yahoo.com. Our website is www.jrm-inc.com.
Precious Lord.